A movement in the world, a movement of which most of the world is still unaware. There are people who are acting on the realization that it's time to create whole new models for living together, social models for creating and sustaining a high quality of life. Thousands of ecovillages and intentional ecological communities have been created worldwide, and their organizational structures are as diverse as the people who founded them. Join us in a journey to different ecovillage communities, those of similar interests, living together in small communities of 20 to 30 people. In one of these communities, the focus is on farming. Another is where sustainable energy systems and practices are explored.
If someone asks why we came together here, everyone in the community would probably give a different answer. My answer is that I want to live a purposeful life, and that means something different to every person. To me, it includes things like growing our own food, building houses in a healthy way.
We've formed different groups, a building group, a finance group, a garden group, and so on, and these groups speak with each other. They discuss questions and solve many problems by themselves. Other issues can be brought to the plenum, which meets weekly and seeks to decide matters by consensus. We usually succeed with that.
We have craft businesses here on the place. For example, we built an apiary 2 years ago, and one of our members is keeping 100 different types of bees. These bee folk fly around, benefiting the place, and the honey is sold here. There are people who make sparkling wine with elder blossoms. Little by little, we see an increase in the number and diversity of products that we can make here. Together, we opened a catering service here and extended the kitchen so that we can cook for up to 150 people. This summer, we'll start to provide school meals. Almost everyone who lives here wants to work here. There are still some who work outside, teachers, social workers, and others, but in general, everyone would rather spend more time here.
We have a great interest in self-sufficiency and are succeeding with that in a few areas. Behind me, you see an orchard meadow where last year we succeeded for the first time in providing enough apples for the whole year. We took the last apples out of our cold cellar to make room for the new harvest. That was a really beautiful moment. We make applesauce and apple juice from our apples, and we have a lot of stone fruits as well. Last year we started a vegetable garden, and now we can provide vegetables and salad for half a year. We founded a food co-op, and we buy 100% organically produced food, so that the nutrition here is 100% organic. We cook once each day for everyone who's here at lunchtime. We cook vegetarian and often even vegan.
For a few years now, we've had an info cafe that's open every first and third Sunday of the month. So every 2 weeks we invite people from the outside, especially from the neighborhood. This got around without any advertisement, and on these weekends we normally have between 15 and 30 visitors. It's a good connection with the neighbors. All these people who visit speak about us afterward, what they saw and heard, and it helps to relieve the prejudice and rumors that often surround intentional communities. Now and then I give weekend seminars for people who want to live in community and who are just starting out. I recommend that people who watch this movie try living in community. Once, I heard a nice presentation by an American woman on the topic of living in community. She used Noah's Ark as a metaphor about the different learning possibilities. One thing she said was to make the leap, that at some point you have to jump into the ark. Otherwise, you will live your whole life just talking about it and holding on to the idea. And in the end, you will still not know how it might have been. That would be a pity.
I thought to myself, I want to be somewhere where it is still possible to live with fresh air and fresh water, where other people can come and live with me. People who want to live a new vision in peace and within a community where we can feel good. It had to be in nature. Within the next years, a seminar center will be built up and be finished. The right people came to help me, men and women who shared my vision, and eventually a changing community developed. Come here to live and help. They're helping to build up the center and this place. They care for it. New energy and new people or new possibilities came. I heard from the authorities that I'm exactly in the right place to be building such an ecotourism project. I think what inspires me most about this community is the possibility of living the different aspects of nonviolence in the work, in the crafts, the relationships, the celebrations, in cultural ways, in the education of the children, the possibility of building agreement between inner and outer experience. At the same time, I'm inspired by the practical exchange and the help people give one another, the dialogue, the listening. Mainly that's what inspires me.
Come to experience a community that lives in close contact and cooperation with nature.
I came here because my vision was, I have the feeling that we're heading toward the end, toward the destruction of the ecosystem, humanity, nature, and the entire planet. I would really like to change this vision. Coming from the consumptive society, I decided to become a part of this community which works with nature. My hope is to reach as many people as possible through this community and to move them back into living and working with nature. Here my job is mainly baking bread, and yes, it is a great thing, a completely different way of life. Here you have more time for yourself. You don't have so much stress as in where you have the exhaust fumes from the cars all day long. Here it is just completely out of the way. There is only nature around us, and you have to drive a long distance in order to come to a city. I really enjoy this about the place.
The community finances itself in large part through the sale of organic products like bread and cheese, but also through the sale of handcrafted products and books. The gardens supply the members with approximately 75% of their food needs. The members of this community are vegetarians, and some even have become vegans.
Regarding the nature, we try to serve the nature. Go to the harvest festival when devotees harvest the grains. Schoolgirls, schoolboys go as well and do the harvest with them together. So they can feel that direct connection with the nature, that we are depending on the nature.
Cities are destroying the environment. Cars and factories and industry, all of this is having a horrible effect on the world around us. Meat eating also, this is having an effect on the environment, cutting down the rainforest, using so much land to grow grains, to feed the animals so we can kill the animals. We just eat grains and vegetables and fruits and milk, which is easy to produce. We don't need so many cars, we don't need tractors, we're using oxen here.
A good example of a nearly self-sufficient community. It produces more than 90% of its own food. Their idea was to live and work in cooperation with each other and with nature. There is an organic market, a bakery, and a library. In the village-owned kindergarten and school, special educational principles are applied by the two teachers in their daily interaction with the children. Transport of materials to and from the village is accomplished by a cable system that works with gravity, using no electricity, simply by sending down a bundle that weighs twice as much as that which is intended to be brought up the cable and into the village.
We have such a very simple life that we're in an original, untouched and natural place where you can't hear a highway or feel asphalt under your feet. There are no cars in the village, and the parking lot is a 15-minute walk away. Everyone creates his own little home and lives in closer contact with nature. Because I live in a wooden house which is breathing, I have the feeling that I'm always connected with the tides, with the rain, the snow, and the sun. I have my garden just next to here. Actually, everybody has a garden here. We all make jams. I split wood, and for a few hours every day I'm outside. In this way, I stay directly connected with nature. This is something that brings a higher quality of life. I feel much more alive here. Nestled between the forest and the lake is our property, and we have a lot of space with meadows, fruit trees, and berries. There's a neighbor who's an organic, dynamic Demeter farmer, and we share the bounty of his produce. What we have now is an organic vegetarian seminar in the community kitchen that provides us with 3 meals a day, a really nice buffet with wonderfully prepared dishes.
From a business point of view, the seminars and guest services developed most strongly and quickly because we had the buildings. We used the guest house, the cultural center, and the sports center for seminars and for guests. We developed classrooms, workrooms, and spaces for art and for cultural exchange in the schoolhouse. And in the most important place, the kitchen, we cooked for ourselves and for our guests.
The idea is that there is not one right way to live ecologically, to achieve sustainability. There are many ways, and many ways will find their place here. Some have invented their own life concept in nutrition, social processes, and finances. Each neighborhood gets a part of the property after they're acknowledged, and then they can build houses there for up to 25 or 30 people. We started to create a new model for decision-making. We have a council system to which we've turned over the larger part of the decision-making process so that we don't all have to discuss all the smaller things at each plenum meeting. It doesn't mean that people are excluded, because the councils often include many people from the community. But as in the case of developing the decision-making process, some topics take a lot of time. Because of the size and complexity of the community, it's not possible that everyone be involved in every decision. And it's a relief for me that I don't have to have an opinion about every plant in the garden. Our aim is to have more time to enjoy, to do beautiful things together, and not always to have to meet about organizational stuff.
Another difference is in nutrition. Our food is mainly local and seasonal. Most of it is grown in our own gardens or in the surrounding area. Our consumption of animal products is very low. Meat consumption is one of the main contributors to global climate change because it uses so much energy and causes so much emission of greenhouse gases. When considering how to reduce our carbon footprint, a question was, what is the difference between a vegetarian diet and a vegan diet? It's very clear that eating a vegan diet, where you let go of all animal products and only consume plant-based foods, makes a tremendous difference. It's mainly because so much methane is made by more than 1.5 billion cows on this earth. If the number of cows is reduced, the methane that they produce will also be reduced. So we see that the kind of nutrition we have is an essential consideration in the energy that we use for living, and we want to live a lifestyle that is compatible with what the planet offers. Other factors in living a more sustainable lifestyle are things like sharing of community rooms and sharing of machines and appliances that are usually privately owned, like televisions and projectors for viewing movies. These kinds of things are all shared here. We only have community washing machines that are used pretty intensively. There's no rest for the washing machines here, so we buy the highest quality that use the least energy and water. We use things communally. Tools are devices that we also share. The whole concept of community works out in the sense that things are viewed to be well used instead of owned. So we use a lot less energy, fewer goods, and we really use things until they have been used up. In the world today, there are no communitarian answers. There's a lot of conflict and competition, and people don't listen to each other. There are such big problems in the world. People are waking up to the reality that we live on one planet, but the ability to act as one voice is not there. We are trying to learn how to do this here in a small way, and we realize that we are learning a very valuable lesson. We have a big, beautiful open space that could contain a village of 300 people. Currently, we are 120. We already realize what strength and potential there is. In every area, we are finding new solutions, like new decision-making models, new communication styles, new architecture, new ways to help the children learn. This trust and friendliness allows us to recognize new solutions in so many facets of our interaction. We now see that the time has come when society is moving toward us. You can see it in every area. We are a growing village where children are born, where the lives of all ages come together. People who do regional development for the government ask, what does a region look like when its communities support each other? How have you succeeded in reducing your energy consumption? Why do you have such a good energy balance? All these questions of the larger society are asked of us now. The vision is to build a model settlement where a few hundred people live together in peace, within themselves, with their neighbors, and eventually with the entire world. And then, having realized the model here, we can bring this example out into crisis areas of the world as well. The founding philosophy says that only those things which we can imagine can become reality. Albert Einstein said, "What we can think, we can do." It's a very deep sentence. Another important function is education. We are building an alternative university because so many people want to know, how have you done it? Can we also do that? If we try it, will we have your support? And so on. There is a worldwide network. Curious people come from all over the world and are inspired by having the opportunity to study and live here to develop a sense of what it means to live in community.
The community is organized into working groups called pylons, which is an architectural term for a structure or place where supporting parts meet. Each pylon coordinates the activities of its work. The pylon called grace is responsible for the interaction with and the welcoming of the guest and for the community's political networking. Another pylon is the solar village, where technology and architecture are developed and combined with nature in a holistic, life-supporting way. The working group responsible for the place of the children supports the unfolding of the creative power of the youngest residents. Each pylon has a group leader. The leaders of all the pylons form the community council. In this way, the information exchange between the working groups is assured, and even important decisions can be made quickly and easily. In some areas of the community work, such as financing and building, the members of the working team are elected by the community. The Women's Council acts to resolve the personal and interpersonal challenges and some questions of the community. The Austrian permaculture specialist, Sepp Holzer, comes often to plan and create the community's edible landscape and lakes and to teach the principles of permaculture to guest students. An important working group that is still under development is the Solar Village.
Here we sit in the test field of the future Solar Village. Since 2004, we've been working together with Jürgen Kleinwächter, a pioneer in decentralized solar technology that can be built simply, that is not dependent on big companies. We always say that the Solar Village is a model inside a model, since itself is like a big creative womb for the foundation of models for a peaceful culture.
An alternative school lies in the heart of the place of the children, where multifaceted projects provide the children with opportunities to acquire many important skills.
We are working on a different concept for school. Of course, we are teaching all the important subjects, but not in the usual chronological way where each subject is taught separately for an hour each day. All the important subjects are learned in the context of doing projects on themes that the students have chosen.
Guests are invited to help with the olive harvest that happens every year, starting in October. It's a good opportunity for interested people to get to know the community.
Being here is a very unique experience that I can hardly express with words, and which I know will continue to affect me further in my life, even when I go home, and even after I am home for a long while. It is a place that simply changes people. I am very conscious of the depth of this change in me. I will continue to explore the subjects of ecology, community, and their social interactions. My wish is to keep these thoughts alive and create new possibilities of living.
On Sundays during the season of the olives, the entire community gathers in the groves to help with the harvest and to celebrate.
The overall vision is that all of humanity can rediscover a way to live in community. I believe that humans are community beings, not individuals in the sense of having to be able to do everything alone, but cooperative beings. Many thousands of years ago it was like this over the entire earth, when people lived together in community. The patriarchy of the last 5,000 to 10,000 years destroyed this idea, step by step, in order to make humans controllable. So today we have a powerful elite that controls most of humanity. If instead the larger part of humanity learns to live together in cooperative communities, in tribes, we will regain a lot of power. Someday we won't need governments that control us. Then we'll need something different.